As the weather gets colder, let the podcast get warmer. Fall in with the Backbone Wrestling feed. Every Monday we have the cross up. Every Tuesday we have Ruthlessly Aggressive and New General Admission. Every other Thursday, linking up Lucha and Highway to the Impact Zone. Every other Friday, Russo Pod. We have Territorial that drops whenever. Hidden Gem that drops whenever. And we have 2 new podcasts. The Movie Education of Logan Crossland, which is a great one. He'll probably watch movies. And Hands of Z. And how could I forget the Shit Take?
So you gotta show a little backbone.
Brooklyn Brawler, you think that Bobby the Weasel Heenan is gonna be the shining light, the way to go? Well, take it from somebody who's been there. I've clawed and I've scratched and I've done everything I've had to get away from him, and he's not going to take you anywhere you want to go. Take it from me. But if you don't believe me by me telling you, maybe I'll have to beat it into your brains. Now, Weasel, I know that you think that you're going to put him in front of you to protect you. Well, sooner or later, I'm going to go through him, the Brooklyn Brawler. I'm going to go through King Haku, Ravishing Rick Rude, whatever it takes, because I have something to prove to the people, to myself, and especially you, Weasel. It wasn't you that made me a star. I had it in here all along, and if I have to take you out to prove that to everybody out there, that's exactly what I'll do. Take it from the rooster.
This bout set for one fall is to determine the first ever Divas champion.
Well, Nick, regarding that AT&T vote, who do you feel the most simply
Introducing the
for?
challengers first, from Palaca, Florida, Michelle Miku.
That would be the answer.
You know, it's an unfortunate situation.
What's your answer?
If it weren't for the fact that I've been witness to so many acts of injustice at the hands of Vicky and Edge, I'd feel sympathy for both of them. My sympathies are torn. Perhaps if I had to lean one way, I'd say I feel a little bit of sympathy for Edge.
And her opponent from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, Natalia.
Well, the third generation diva Natalia, the daughter of Jim the Anvil Neidhart. She utilizes her uncle Hitman Bret Hart's sharpshooter expertly. Natalia by name, naughty by nature, a diva with a dangerous DNA.
I'm smart, you're dumb. I'm big, you're little. I'm right, you're wrong. And there's nothing you can do about it.
It doesn't matter what you think.
Shit.
You didn't say that. Tell me you did not just say that.
There's nothing anyone can do, there's nothing anyone can say. There's little can be done right now to make this go away. Cliched simple platitudes do naught to quell the dread, and the breadth and gravity just send me crawling back to bed. It's useless in this moment to say we'll get through this somehow. There's time enough for action, but that time isn't now. Soon we can start planning for what may come to be. But what I could really use right now is a bacon roll and a cup of tea. I don't need positive affirmations, I need to scream and bawl. The unrealistic expectations won't help with this at all. This is shit. Well, this is shit. I'm not expecting answers because they're out of your remit. I'm not looking for solutions, just for
Backbone Wrestling Network. Welcome to Shit Take number 39. I am one of your co-hosts, Shawn, and I am joined always by Keithy, by God, Langston. Keithy, how are you today?
Oh, I'm doing great, Shawn. How about you?
I'm good. What was the pivot on the headsets? You just threw them off.
It started making like an echoey sound. I don't know. It's fine. I can hear. I just didn't want to have like an echo or feedback or anything, but I sound great, right?
Yeah, I mean, always. You always sound great, Keith. Always.
You look great, by the way.
I always look great. No,
you look like the West Coast did you very well.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good trip. California was good. Now I'm sitting in my office of 300 superhero statues behind me. So loving my background, staring at my my Batman painted picture of myself with the Shawn Kid has a heart logo on my desk, staring right at me, all flashing bright red.
We didn't talk about offline or on our pre-edit show. We didn't talk about the the message that went, "Who's the best Batman?" and you put your answer. You put the painting that your wife made of you, and I went, "This is the answer for the worst."
Yes, you did, and I was very offended by that because I clearly would make a very good Batman.
You know what? I would say you probably would make a very good Bruce Wayne.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
I'll say that you'd be a good Bruce Wayne. I don't know about Batman, but
you'd make a very good Penguin.
You know, there was a year. You know, there was one year when before I moved in with my brother. Might have been the same year that Brutus Beefcake played cards in my brother's kitchen. My brother had a Halloween party, and he actually the theme was like superhero themed, and my brother went as the Joker. At the time it was just his girlfriend, and it is now his ex-wife, but she went as I believe Catwoman, and I showed up as Penguin, but I was Danny DeVito's Penguin, so I had like the long ratty hair.
God.
But I made like I painted like my face white.
Not the Mickey from Rocky Penguin?
No, I didn't go as Burgess Meredith from the 60s. I should have.
He's my favorite. He's my favorite one.
Well, I think the reason was because I couldn't find a good top hat, but I did have a top hat. But I came in and I had like the ratty black wig, and I did the face paint, and I think I even got the fake nose, and I had the suit jacket and everything, and I came in like, with the gloves on, like I did the Vader hands like the whole time. Yeah, I got to see if I can find a picture of me as the Penguin.
I think that would.
It actually came out very well.
And on the Marvel side of things, I think you would make a very good Kingpin.
Okay, well, thank you for not saying I'd give you a good Blob, because that would be really upsetting.
Oh, no. I mean, I know you're an X-Men guy, but I think that would have been very offensive. I think Kingpin has more swag than Blob.
The cool thing about the Kingpin is he's kind of an easy. I mean, I'd have to shave my facial hair because I already have. You know what I would have to do? I'd have to bick my head, because I don't bick my head. I only buzz it. But that would mostly be just getting. What would I wear? The white suit? What do you want me as? White suit Kingpin or black suit Kingpin?
Let me look at my Kingpin statue. Yeah, I want white suit. I don't know if you can see. Hey, here you go.
Oh yeah.
Hang on. Where's the camera?
That's the kind of Kingpin.
There you go. Yeah, that one.
That's a good Kingpin.
There's a good Kingpin right
there.
there.
That's him with like. Oh yeah.
Yeah. This is like a Japanese manga Kingpin.
Okay, I was like, why doesn't he have any arms? Is he like a robot?
No, man. It's like they got him like sitting on top of like New York City in his little.
Oh, okay.
So,
well, the good thing is we talked about going to a cigar shop in Vegas.
I think we should absolutely.
So you and I will have to go and sit and smoke cigars, and we'll take pictures as Bruce Wayne and the Kingpin sitting smoking cigars.
I 100% think we should. We didn't do cigars last time we went to Vegas, so
all right, cool.
All right, so Keith. Should take number 39. I think we got two really good ones. Me particularly, because I always talk about this guy as more of a punishment, or as more of a like get a rise out of people, particularly you, because I always threaten you with the Hands of Z.5 episode on this gentleman, which I think we do have one in the pipeline at some point, but probably not for another year. We got a whole pipeline of 0.5.
Good. So hopefully I'll be dead by the time it actually airs.
I mean, I was trying to find a match between spoiler alert, Terry Taylor and Larry Zbyszko. I figured that would be a really good match for you to watch. But anyway, here's my shit take. So before I start my shit take, what are your feelings on one Terry Taylor overall before I get into this?
Well, I think you and I have had extensive conversations on the man.
Behind the scenes, yes.
I know that other people and I have had conversations, and I think the consensus really is that Taylor's best years are when he's in UWF or Mid-South. Like he has that like one hot year. Is it 86 or 87?
He has 86 and 87 are two very good years for him.
Yeah. Or you could say 1 year. I mean,
actually, even 88, when he goes to world class, he has a pretty good run there too.
Right. Yeah. And I think that the problem I've always heard, and you know what, this is kind of a funny thing because I kind of feel bad for Terry Taylor in the sense that he's probably not as bad of a person as his years of torment have given him, because I think, and I think a lot of it has to do with what your shit take is that, and it's actually very true, because I don't think that he's as bad of a guy. I mean, I've heard that he was kind of like
a dick. I've heard he's a dick.
Yeah, but I don't think he's as much of a dick as like other people have been notably known to be as a dick. You know what I mean? Like I think he just thought that he was, which can you really fault the guy for thinking that he's the best thing in wrestling? I mean, isn't that what you're supposed to think? And can we not make a case that there's been, I don't know, thousands of wrestlers or hundreds of wrestlers over the years who thought that their shit was ice cream and that, they couldn't do anything wrong. And it's just that he happened to be bullyable, if that's a word I can create, where
bullyable,
where it's like he was able to be bullied and didn't really have the panache to like fight it, because what was he going to do? He can only leave. And unfortunately, the company that he had his best years at went out of business. So it's like, what was he going to do?
Well, what's funny about Terry Taylor, listen, every time I do a shit take or I do a pod, I'll read up on whoever the subject matter is. And it's very interesting because the guy has been literally in every single wrestling company. So NWA, UWF, Mid-South, World Class, WWF, back to WCW, back to WWF, back to WCW, back to WWF, then the TNA, then the NXT. The guy's literally been like a freaking ping pong ball.
He sounds like Andrade.
He does, man. He's been like everywhere, like as an agent. And then you always hear like these bad things about him. Like, was it the PTVN greatest wrestler ever that he didn't even get in? I think there's a whole debate about that, about how he wasn't in. And so I feel like Terry Taylor just overall has a really bad reputation.
I'm not going to. All right. I will say that his reputation, and this is where I kind of go with the whole, he doesn't have the it factor. I don't think Terry Taylor has the it factor. And I hope this isn't about I hope you're not going to pivot and say like, oh, Terry Taylor could have been a main event fucking superstar.
Maybe.
Really? I don't think Terry Taylor ever had the it factor.
I'll give perspective. Keep going. Finish out your Terry Taylor thought.
I feel like Terry Taylor was a really good hand and probably would have been a guy that could have been a reliable mid-card, occasional main event challenger type deal. But Taylor didn't blow the fucking lights out of people and never has. I mean, and I watched an awful lot of Terry Taylor matches over the years. He was never the guy. And people always shit on Triple H and say he wasn't the guy. He was the guy that worked with the guy. Terry Taylor is literally the guy that worked with the guy.
I don't agree on Triple H either. I think Triple H is pretty good. I never thought he was.
So do I.
Bad.
But I'm just saying people say that all the time.
I think it's a pretty good comparison. All right. So you want me to jump in here? You ready?
Yeah, go ahead. Well, you asked me my opinion. Now
so you brought up a good point for me. So Terry Taylor for me, like I will tell you my first true like Terry Taylor moment. Now I know he was in Crockett in '85, but I didn't know that. My first experience with Terry Taylor is when he was in UWF.
Yeah.
And I started and watched wrestling in '86, but I started watching UWF probably around early '87. Mm-hmm. And one of the cool things that was they had this whole tag team tournament where it's Chris Adams and Terry Taylor.
Yeah.
And they were going after the tag titles. And then they lost the titles to Sting and Rick Steiner. Mm-hmm. And then they had this whole debate about who the better wrestler was. And so they had these matches, like one or two, where Adams and Taylor, as friends, would wrestle each other. Really good matches.
Yeah.
Well, then on one of the matches, Terry Taylor decides, fuck you, Chris Adams. A pile drives Chris Adams on the concrete floor, turns total heel, sides with Eddie Gilbert. And then the two of them have this freaking fantastic feud. Now, before the feud ended, Chris Adams decided he was going to up and bail. And I think he went off to World Class, which I'll talk about in a minute. But then Taylor pivoted. He won the World TV title in the UWF. And then him and Nikita Koloff had a feud where they integrated the title at Starrcade 87, I believe, if that's correct.
Yep.
Well, then after that, Terry Taylor disappeared. Then he went off to the World Class and he feuded with Chris Adams again in 88 before he went to the WWF. So for me, Terry Taylor was very, very good as a heel. And you say, you know what? I never saw him as a guy. I would say at that point in time where I watched him from that 87 run, I thought he was a guy. I literally think him and Adams had one of the best feuds going in 1987. That's me. Now, if you've never seen it, because that also was that was kind of like the preliminary strike during that feud. Sting turned face.
Yeah.
So Sting became big during that. Eddie Gilbert was involved. It was just a really good time. So the fact that UWF went out of business at the time they did was really weird because they had some good shit going on. As a face, I will tell you also in 86 and even 85 in retrospect in '84. He had some really good main event matches with Ric Flair. Like, he was in the main event scene. He was just really good. He fought for the Mid-South title. I think he's got a couple matches with Magnum TA. So pre-'88, I would sit here and say, you know what? I could totally see him as a great mid-card Intercontinental champion. I'll tell you that. Pre-'88. Hear me out. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Here's where it goes south, and this is my shit take. I think Vince McMahon ruined Terry Taylor.
Wait, one real quick before you go into this, I just want to say where you said he could have been a good mid card, maybe Intercontinental champion. Blah, blah. I agree with you completely.
I might one up myself because I would think in the WWF he could go further, but hear me out first. Please hear me out before you like.
Yeah, go ahead. All right, so go ahead. So Vince ruins him.
So he goes to the WWF. I think Vince. So I think what's the story? They went back between Perfect and Taylor on who was going to get the whole Mr. Perfect gimmick.
No.
Yes,
No.
yes, that's the story. That's the story.
It's not the story. It's not. And I'm saying.
All right, well, educate me, old WWF.
No. What I'm saying is that has been the rumor, and there was the rumor that he wrestles Perfect at the. I want to say it's the summer, not WrestlePalooza. What was the one that they did in Milwaukee? Big event. WrestleFest. Yes. Yeah. Allegedly at WrestleFest, that's where they made the decision to have Perfect. Perfect was always going to be, or Kurt Hennig was always going to be Mr. Perfect. It was always going to be Mr. Perfect. I think the discussion, and I think why is because the two of them are the ones. I think they both had their tryout match was against each other, and then they started with Kurt Hennig and Terry Taylor, and they kind of wrestled a little bit on the house show circuit a little bit, but no, it was never going to be. It was always going to be Perfect. Was always going to have that gimmick. Was always going to go to Kurt Hennig because Kurt Hennig was literally the perfect. He was far more of a not only of an amazing wrestler but an amazing athlete more than Terry Taylor was. And I think Perfect. And I keep calling him Perfect. Hennig, I think, carried that moniker much better than Taylor would ever have done it.
I don't think Taylor had the chance. So let me finish my point. Let me finish. All right. So I already started talking about it. Before he went to the WWF, Taylor came in in '88. He's already a proven commodity, had matches with Flair, was UWF Tag Champion, was UWF TV Champion. He was a solid worker. He's legit. He actually did cut good promos when he was a heel, too, which you probably wouldn't remember because you probably haven't even seen any of them. He could work babyface or heel, did a good job at main events, did a good job at mid-cards, all pre-'88. And I already told you, I think he would have made a good ready-made Intercontinental champion if they had actually done it. Here's what I think Vince did, though. I think Vince used him as an example to say, hey, go fuck yourself, Jim Crockett. I think he took one of Jim Crockett's could-have-beens, right? Like he came over to UWF, and I think he could have been a solid under the Crockett era.
Yeah.
And he basically said, you know what? Fuck you. Just like he did with Dusty and the Polka Dots. He has a whole run of how he does this show with Crockett. And he goes, he made him the Red Rooster. And it wasn't just a bad gimmick. It was like, what's the term? I think it was like career arson. Like literally, Taylor could have done anything after that Red Rooster gimmick and he would have failed. Because I think even after Red Rooster, he had some good ones. And I'll tell you about this in a minute. Vince didn't really commit to it properly. Taylor debuts. He struts. He flaps his arm, cuts his hair, gives the red thing, gets Heenan as a fucking manager. And the best thing he can do when he turns face is they lump him with the fucking Brooklyn Brawler, Steve Lombardi. Like, it's just a shit show. Like, I just think, and I think it's terrible. So Vince didn't even try with him. So I'll pause there.
Yeah.
And speak your mind. I totally think Vince fucked over Terry Taylor, and that's why Taylor's thought of his shit nowadays.
So Taylor comes in, and the thing is that, because believe it or not, Pete and I covered this a lot, I think. I'm pretty sure we had covered almost all of his run.
I'm sure you have.
So Taylor comes in and he's kind of just like generic guy number one. But then Bobby Heenan comes out and Bobby Heenan says, I'm bringing a new member into the Heenan family. And he brings in Terry Taylor. And then he immediately changes his name to the Red Rooster, but he doesn't start doing the Rooster shit. It's supposed to be that Bobby's whole gimmick was that he was taking a guy who, and this is where you're right with Vince fucking him from the get-go, because Bobby literally says, I'm getting a guy who sucks, and I'm going to turn him into the next.
But why Rooster? Like, what was the point of this whole gimmick? Like,
well, because
why?
because according to Bruce Pritchard, he was the cock of the walk. And it was like, and I think what happened, honestly, is I think that when Taylor, I bet you what happened was, I bet you Taylor had options when he signed with the WWF. And he was like, I have an option to stay with JCP. I have an option to go over with Mid-South, but I'm going to take the bigger money and go to New York because everybody wants to go to New York. And I think that that's what happened, is that he had multiple options. So when he signs with the WWF, he thinks of himself as the king shit. I just signed with the WWF. I'm going to be their next fucking guy. I'm Terry fucking Taylor. I just had an awesome run as the TV champion, an awesome run as the tag team champions, an awesome run wrestling for the UWF, the Mid-South championship or whatever. Like, he thought of himself as one of the great guys. And whether or not that pissed off Vince, or it pissed off Gorilla, or it pissed off somebody got under someone's skin that he was kind of acting like a bit of a prick. But again, I come back and I go, why would you not? This is literally like, if you're a guy who doesn't do anything, you don't do anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to self-promote, but it's very weird. It's like, you have to self-promote, but you can't self-promote too much, because then it hurts you instead of helps you. So I think what happened was that maybe he went a little overboard promoting himself, and they got the idea that he was kind of a cocky son of a bitch. And Bruce Pritchard, being a fucking unoriginal bastard, and I fucking can't stand when Bruce starts talking about all the fucking gimmicks he came up with, because they're all dog shit. And Bruce was like, well, he was the cock of the walk. He literally walked around and told everybody how fucking awesome he was. So he's the guy that runs the roost. So why not make
a
a
red fucking rooster? Like, you're never going to get over with that name. It's kind of like Dolph Ziggler. It's
but
like,
then and then what happens is, he's Terry Taylor. He becomes the Red Rooster. He's not doing the fucking cockadoodle-doo and all that shit when he's with Bobby. When he's with Bobby, he's basically a generic heel. And he's in the Survivor Series. And then they start doing this thing where Bobby's fucking yelling at him during the match, like trying to coach, quote unquote, coach him. And instead of having it be like an interesting kind of role play where Bobby's coaching him on the outside, and then Taylor goes in and does something, it's like Bobby coaches him, Taylor goes in, deliberately fucks up whatever it was that Bobby was teaching him, and then after the match, Bobby fucking berates him. And then that's basically what happens up until he turns face, because he's sick of Bobby and he turns face. Now, that's a good storyline right there. He's got a manager. The manager's going to make him a No, hear me out. The manager's going to make him a superstar, but he doesn't. And then he turns on his manager because his manager's a piece of shit. Here's the problem. Then it's like he goes, and I'll even give him this shit. He goes 100% into the fucking rooster gimmick.
He did 100%.
Where he starts doing he starts poofing his hair in the fucking plume, and he starts strutting, and he's cacaring and all that shit. And that's when it's like, what are we fucking doing here? I don't think they made I don't know if they were still doing LGNs, but they didn't make an LJN of him. They didn't make a fucking Hasbro of him. Like, he never got the merchandising that you would think they would have done with a fucking rooster, so like, it's sad. They fucking ruined him. And then you're right, they lop him in this stupid fucking endless feud with, of all people, the fucking Brooklyn Brawler. It also didn't help that he gets hurt at SummerSlam wrestling Perfect. He blows out his knee and he's hurt for a little bit.
True. So here's the thing. So I think it just said, here is my other shit take that's part of this.
Yeah.
And you can tell me what you think. But before that, like, before he even leaves it, like, he leaves the WWF, and I think, like, even when he leaves, like, when he goes back to WCW in 90,
yeah,
he becomes the computerized man of the 90s because Rotunda bails on him.
Yes.
Because Wall Street. I think he did pretty good there. Like, I think he had some good matches with Dustin Rhodes. He had good matches with Tom Zink for the TV title. I still think he was the highlight of Starrcade 91. Logan and I both agree on this. I think, and then he even had a good run where he was a U.S. Tag Team Champion, I believe, with Greg the Hammer Valentine. So he was good after he left. I just think there was no coming back from what Vince did to him.
No. And there's that level of stink that's on him that is never going to get off.
And here's the final thing that I'll say.
Yeah.
So I think we agree Vince probably fucked him really bad. He did, because he did that to everybody. Barry Windham is the stalker. Like he had a habit of doing this to the WCW guys.
Yeah.
Terry Taylor more than most, I think. I think Terry Taylor could have pulled off the $1 Million Man gimmick pretty good.
Yeah, but you know what? I think that yes, he could have, because he tried to do that a little bit in WCW, like when he was the U.S. Tag Champ, and he was like
even in the UWF, he was a little like that. He was always in the suits, sunglasses. He had a little bit of that there too.
The only thing is that I think Vince had this special connection with Ted, because Ted's a second generation wrestler. Vince is a second generation promoter. And I think that Vince, because the $1 Million Man gimmick is Vince's gimmick in real. Like if he was going to be a wrestler, he would have been the $1 Million Man.
Sure.
And I think that he looked at himself much more completely like Ted DiBiase as opposed to Terry Taylor. I mean, not that Vince and Ted DiBiase look alike, but even like Ted had that friggin' the fucking hair even styled similar to Vince.
Yeah.
You know, like Vince is very close to being Ted DiBiase. He's not anywhere near Terry Taylor. And I think you're right. I think Terry Taylor could have, if Terry Taylor had essentially had the Ronnie Garvin gimmick, like push that Garvin had in WWF, I think Terry would have had a much more, I don't want to say longevity, because he's been wrestling he wrestles forever. And the thing is Terry always has a job. That's another thing, is that
he's never not been without a job. He's got a job right now still.
Yeah.
So,
and people will always hire Terry Taylor. Like that's the thing. But I think that would Taylor have been a bigger name with like within a mid card or something? Yes. I think if he had just come in and been either the tailor-made man, because when he comes back, is he the tailor-made man in WWF, or is it terrific?
No, terrific Terry Taylor. I mean, it was funny because somebody posted one of our group chats a match between him and Perfect on Raw in '93.
Yes.
So he was there. Terrific Terry Taylor.
He's not a bad wrestler by any stretch. It's just the level of stink that gets stuck on him because of the Red Rooster is you're never going to live it down. You're never going to live that down. I'm trying to think if there's an equivalency of like.
I also should take here, and then we'll move on. I think you and I have talked about how disappointing I think DiBiase was in ring.
Yes.
During that, I think in ring, he would have been better as a $1 Million Man in ring.
Yeah.
In ring as a $1 Million Man with.
Well, it depends, because I don't know if DiBiase, I think a lot of what DiBiase's gimmick was to not do well in the ring. And that might have translated also
because he tore it up in Mid-South, man.
I know, but that could have translated to Taylor as well. And Taylor might have had to do, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you could make Ric Flair the $1 Million Man in 87 and not have him still be like shitty in the ring, because I think Vince was determined to have the $1 Million Man be all character, no wrestler. And that was what we were going to do. It didn't matter who it was, you know, because you're right. DiBiase's fucking nasty. He's a hell of a wrestler, you know, but he never got to
shine.
He never got to shine. He never got to shine on television. I wonder how many house shows like that I would love to know like how many house shows he fucking tore the ring down with, like either Savage or Hogan or, I mean, shit, even fucking Virgil. I bet you like him and Piper. I bet you when you put him in the house show circuit with somebody, it was probably fucking awesome. You know,
you're probably right. So, yeah. But anyway, that's my take. Vince McMahon ruined Terry Taylor. I don't think there's much argument from you on that one.
No, there's not. No. If anything, it's 100%. It's just, I was afraid that you were going to come at me and say like, oh, Terry Taylor could have been a fucking main event guy and carry the world title.
No, I never said world title.
Yeah.
I do think he could have been a solid $1 Million Man. I think he could have been up there against Hogan and be the one jobbing to Hogan. I don't think he ever
He could have. He might have. And that would have, he would have main evented B shows, I would think.
Right. Correct. All right. So that's my shit.
He could have been an Intercontinental champion and main evented B shows. And that would have been fine.
I agree. All right. So that's my shit take. So Keith, now we're going to move on to yours. So what's your shit take for this episode?
So my shit take is I've kind of, I just want to preface this by saying that I really feel like I'm basically like a feminist at this point in my life. And I've been a feminist pretty much for a while now. And one of the things that I love to talk about ad nauseum almost is how fucking good women's wrestling is nowadays.
You're not wrong. We've had this discussion. It's very good right now.
Yes.
Sure. Yes.
And I think that when you look at the history of women's wrestling, there's clearly different eras. And the era of, as much as I want to say, as much as I fucking love Sensational Sherry and like Medusa Michelli, their era of wrestling sucks in the US. In the US, it sucks. And a lot of that I think has to do with, at least especially for Sherry, a lot of that has to do with the hangover from the Fabulous Moolah days where everybody had to cut Moolah in on shit and all this kind of nonsense. And I think that there was alternatives. Like, I really think like Glow, I think had really hit and stuck. If Glow had had a good working relationship with both the WWE and the NWA and whatnot, they probably would have been able to have a very successful kind of like relationship where women's wrestling thrives in the 80s and the 90s.
Did you ever watch, speaking of Glow, did you ever watch Powerful Women of Wrestling, pal?
Yeah.
Because that was legit like Glow, except wrestling. Like,
yes.
It was actually really good. I used to watch it. They were really, really good and intense and pal. It was good.
And I think that they had a good working relationship with the WWF and the NWA, I think you would have been able, because AWA had some women's wrestling, but no one watched AWA. So it's like, if WWF,
I did.
I know you did, but if WWF cared enough to like actually work with POW, with Glow, with whatever, I think they would have had a really good run of ladies wrestling. But I don't think it was ever taken seriously during the early years, especially considering like Wendy Richter got over, and then Vince fucking screwed her out of the title. So,
oh, look at that, another person Vince McMahon fucks over. It's a friend. Yeah.
And then I don't even remember women's wrestling in Crockett. I don't even know if that even happened, but
they did in the late 80s. They had Misty Blue Sims, who was a ladies US champion.
Yes,
but she was also on the side doing porn. So
I know there's like the LPW, like
LPWA.
That's defended at a Clash. Like that title's defended at a Clash. I think
that's another good. That's another good lady federation.
Yeah,
Cornette was actually a part of that. So that one was good. They had one pay-per-view.
All right, so we move on from that first kind of iteration. You know, and I use Medusa because Medusa was in the AWA, and I kind of consider that like the tail end of the Moolah-esque era. Then we move into that weird pre-Divas diva era. So you had like, you had the Trish Stratuses, you had the Litas, and that is okay. But again, it's still, they don't, and granted, I know that like Lita and Trish Stratus are like the first women to main event of Raw and all that kind of, and I'm not taking away from like what they did, but you also had that weird shit in the Attitude Era where it's like matches were bra and panties matches, and they were having like just weird bed pillow fight matches. It didn't take it seriously as it is now. And that kind of just, and also most of the women had massive breasts, and it was like that was like the defining characteristic of most of these women is that they had massive breasts, and their breasts.
To be fair, what's her what was Jerry the King Lawler's girlfriend, the one
Stacey
that like
Keebler? Oh yeah, she didn't have massive.
No,
breasts,
not Stacey Keebler. I forget her name.
The cat, Stacey the cat.
Yes, because she flashed everybody at that.
She didn't have massive breasts, but she flashed herself all the time. But
like,
so you have that era, and it's fun. But again, it's more of like that's the Maxim era, the stuff, FHM. It's so funny. I was talking about that with my brother last night. We were watching the game, and we were watching the football game. And we started talking about do you remember Catherine Bell from like Jag?
Uh-huh.
And like we were talking about how like she was on stuff all the time. She was on Maxim and FHM and everything, and we were talking about that. But like that was that era that you had where it was like, and you're catering to like young, because again, you're catering to the kids that watched Hogan and Savage. Now they're teenagers and young adults, so they're into like stuff and Maxim and Playboy. So you want to cater to them. So the women are much more lusty or whatever the case may be. But they're not giving them more than like 3 minutes in the ring. Like the matches are quick. They're not very significant. the titles kind of like played off of just gags and goofs and shit like this. Then you go into that diva era, the Kelly Kellys, the Candice Michelles, the Michelle McCools, with all due respect to Hall of Famer Michelle McCool. That's just garbage dog shit wrestling. It's dog shit. It's dog shit. But that era was a necessary evil in order to have the progression to where we got today. And I think that because I think what happened is once you started having the kids who were kids during, like my generation, your generation, the kids that were kids when Hogan was around, grew up through the Attitude Era, got through the Attitude Era and became like adults, maybe became parents of young girls who were like athletic and shit like that. You started watching that diva era and was like, this is fucking obnoxious. Like, are we really doing this? These girls, like, I remember watching Kelly Kelly hit the ropes and she barely made the fucking ropes move. And I was like, this is just complete nonsense. Like Candice Michelle was the one that was like, that's the one that used to, she was like the, what was the not GoPro? What was the website she used to always model and promote?
Oh, yeah, I don't remember.
I can't remember.
Funny. You bring up Candice Michelle, though. I feel like, so let me ask you this on the Divas.
GoDaddy was the website. GoDaddy.
So you said GoDaddy. So you said the Divas are kind of the beginning of where we're going to. Like, I'm trying to figure out how you're correlating the Divas to today. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah. Well, because we went from original Divas of like Lita, Trish, Jacqueline, Jazz, you know, where they were called divas. And that's around, and like, I mean, think of it, like TNA had they still have the knockouts, but they were called knockouts. I mean, TNA.
Well, really, it was just tits and ass. It wasn't about their wrestling ability.
Right. And it's like, we had all of them where you could tell these girls were trying, and you could tell that they were going to wrestling schools. They were learning how to wrestle, but they're just being booked by bookers who just don't want to have them wrestle. They just want them there as eye candy. And then, but then you go, and then once they kind of leave, you get into, because that's the big thing they talk about, like the Diva Search era is like, that was like John Laurinaitis' deal. So like John Laurinaitis is literally going around finding all the hot models that, you know, are somewhat athletic, you know, and he's putting them in, and that's what we're getting as like our female wrestling in like the early to mid or the mid to late 2000s. And it's just all that kind of shit wrestling where they're like the Bunny Jill, Lumber Bunny and the Lumber Jill matches, and then they had that awful Survivor Series match where it's like it's just garbage. It's garbage wrestling. It's garbage entertainment. They're not doing anything athletic. They're terrible. And then you move from that. And I think that was like the necessary evil, because I think that fans, and also probably like, I know she likes to take credit, and people have things to say, but I bet you like Stephanie McMahon probably looked at that and was like, you know what? This is obnoxious. We need to get out of this. We need to get away from this. And then that's when they started with like doing the NXT stuff, where the NXT women were legit professional wrestling women who were coming from different companies, different independent companies, different countries.
So you think NXT is where it pivoted?
I think so.
Because for me, I kind of get what you're going. I think it was like a transition for me. I'll be honest with you. Like Trish Stratus initially came out and she was like a bimbo, whatever, right? Which came out. But as time went on, I felt like she really became good in ring. Like I feel like it actually started with like Trish, then Mickie James, and I think it kind of transitioned from there.
It did, but then it took a step back when we had that Diva Search era. You know?
Oh, that's true. That is
true.
And
that's the thing is that, and again, I'm not saying that there wasn't flashes of brilliance, because I'll be honest with you, Wendy Richter was great. Judy Martin, like and you had like that early 80s or that mid 80s.
Violet Myers,
Violet McIntyre, even
the Jumping Bomb Angels.
Like, even Rock and Robin is not terrible. Like there's not a lot of bad female wrestling in the rock and wrestling era. It's just, it's never taken seriously because it's not promoted seriously. Like female wrestling today is promoted fucking seriously. Like they're promoted.
They could have their own TVs. They could have their own show if they wanted.
They probably could. And you know what? I would bet you we would get I don't want to say it would get as many viewers as like Raw and SmackDown would, but I bet you it would get a ton of viewership. It could definitely hold its own on a national, on like a network TV. Like if they wanted to do it on the CW or they wanted to do it on USA, they could absolutely get it. And I think people would watch it.
It's funny to think about the evolution. I don't necessarily know if we needed to have the Divas era to get there, but I definitely think there was a transition because, it's like I said, like even like Nikki Bella got good. Then AJ Lee came in. It's like I think AJ Lee might be the one that is where it really branched off from, because then you got Paige and then you got the whole NXT thing happening. So I want to say it might have started, like, I still think it was Divas very much so when the Bellas were around, but I think when AJ Lee got here and then Paige got in, I think that would officially be the kickoff and move on from the Divas for me. That's my thought.
No, you're right. And it's funny because I believe AJ Mike dropped on that too. Like she was like,
right. That was like the shift. I think that was the shift.
Yeah. And that's, and again, that's the tail end of it, but that's when you have, and that's when they start to take it seriously. And like Fit Finley starts training all the girls, and he's the one that's working with them. And then obviously you had the inclusion of you had the 4 come up from NXT, Bailey, Charlotte, Becky, and Sasha. Becky. I mean, that's fucking massive. But it's always funny because I think you and I have talked about before. I know Pete and I have always talked about getting the DeLorean and bringing people. Like Pete's big thing is he always talks about bringing like 85 Paul Orndorff to like present day wrestling.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
But it's like, I always say, like, I would love to have had 88, 87, 88 Sherry Martel in today's wrestling. I'd love to have like AWA Medusa in today's wrestling. I would love to have them in the mix and see what it was like for, see what they could do. Cause I bet you if like Sherry and Medusa had people like Becky and Charlotte and fuck it, even AJ, like, just had them to work with, I bet you it would be unbelievable. Like we're like fantastic, fun shit to watch,
I would love to see Sherry Martel against like a Becky Asuka. Lynch or Asuka or Liv Morgan.
Medusa, what about Medusa versus Asuka, Io, and Kairi?
Oh my god!
Because Medusa had that Japanese training, so it's like imagine like Medusa and like Bull Nakano against against the what are they the Kabuki Warriors and shit. Like imagine that. How fucking awesome would that be? And I would love to see Sherry Martel wrestling like Becky or wrestling.
You know what I want to see? I want to see Rhea Ripley versus Chyna.
Yes. Although Chyna was kind of doo-doo dog shit for a while.
I think Ripley would rip her ass open, but I bet Ripley could get a good match out of her,
I bet you Ripley and Medusa would be fucking awesome.
I bet it would be.
I bet Medusa. That's my problem right now. What about Rhea Ripley and friggin' Wendy Richter?
I can see that. That's the problem with Rhea Ripley right now. I don't know what you do with her at this point.
I also could see
nobody that really.
I also could see Rhea Ripley wrestling like Ricky Steamboat in his prime and fucking kicking his ass.
Like, I don't know. Like for me, Ripley, it's like I don't know what you do with her now. It's like,
well, my big thing with Rhea was that I felt that when she lost like the world title, and she was kind of like. It was her and like Damian Priest were like kind of feuding with the Judgment Day.
Right.
I thought they should have had, it should have been like Finn and JD against Rhea and Damian for like the tag belts.
Right.
And that her and Damian should have won the tag belts. And even if it was literally to win them, to lose them like a month later back to like the Judgment Day or whatever, I think it would have been an awesome, because as much as people, because China wasn't that great of a hand. She really wasn't. But I will say, as much as people shit on China's run as the Intercontinental Champion, her winning the Intercontinental title was fucking huge. Because it was a statement that was made that, like, this is not just a man's world. Like, this is something that can be done. And again, it was weird seeing China wrestle women. So it was like, it made sense for her to wrestle men. It's the same thing with Rhea. Like, Rhea could wrestle men. Like, Rhea could have had a match against Dominic Mysterio, and it would have been totally believable and acceptable for her. I always say, if we were supposed to believe that Rey Mysterio Jr. is going to wrestle the Big Show, you can believe that a woman's going to fight a man. I'm sorry, end of story.
I just feel like, I mean, I hear you, but I almost feel like her only option, and this sucks for me because I hate her, is against Carhill, and she sucks. Like, I don't want to see her and Rhea go at it.
No. But much like I said about Charlotte, when Charlotte came back, and I was like, all right, I'm done with Charlotte. I said Charlotte needs to get a tag partner and fucking run roughshod on that tag team title division. Rhea's kind of doing the same thing. I think the Rhea and Io team is great right now because make that title mean something. And it's already meant more now than it has probably ever in the last year, when like the Kabuki Warriors, Alexa and Charlotte and Rhea and Io are in the mix. And now they're adding like more women are coming in to be in this mix. And I actually think they should book an elimination chamber for the women's tag titles. Because remember, they did that for the finals of the tournament. They should do that for the elimination chamber. It should be 6 tag women, 6 tag teams. Let them.
Yeah, they got enough teams now. So
yeah, they got enough. They got more than enough women that they can put in there. More than enough teams that seem like teams too. You know, but it seems like they're going to be fucking up the Alexa Bliss and Charlotte team, and they're going to be splitting them soon. And I know
that's a shame. That's a fucking shame. They're a good team.
So, and I'm sure that there's eventually going to split Io and Rhea and have them wrestle each other. And it's just, it's stupid, but whatever. It is what it is.
Well, I don't necessarily necessarily think it's a shit take. I think it's an interesting spin, though. What it does is it makes me think through the evolution of where it was at. And I think, like, for me, like I said, AJ Lee, that whole cornerstone when Paige beat her, that's where it really shifts. It starts shifting from there.
So. Right. But again, that's after that Diva Search era. And I think that because I don't know if it would have had such an impact if we weren't at such a lowest point. Because I think if we had kind of kept it with like the way it was with like Molly Holly and Trish and Lita and who was the other one that you had just mentioned? She was
Paige?
in TNA and
Mickey James.
Like if we had kept it in, if they had kind of kept it where it was almost like it was on life support. When they brought out the Divas butterfly belt, that was fucking a travesty. You know what I mean? Like that was a travesty. Like the butterfly belt. Like, come on, man, really?
It's
like
a terrible belt.
Absolutely how are you
terrible.
Supposed to take any of them seriously? Like you can't. And then
it's so bad.
And then it's like, and I think that was like. I think if we had stuck with what we had in like the late Attitude Era, I think we would have just been on life support. And this whole new influx of women who are actually legit, it wouldn't have been as powerful if we weren't in that horrible era of like garbage fucking wrestling from models who were just, you know, just terrible and couldn't even wrestle in ring and shit. Like, you know what I mean? And that, I think, is why we needed it. Like I said, it's a necessary evil. I think it was a necessary evil to get us to where we're at today. Okay. And now we're in like, and I mean, seriously, like we've talked nothing about, there's nothing but greatness coming from the, like, and it's not just WWE, because AEW's women matches are fantastic. Like, you know, and I mean, TNA's women matches are fantastic. Like everything is fantastic. So yeah, there we go.
Yeah. With the exception of Tony Storm, everything's fantastic.
How dare you? How fucking dare you?
Hey, one more. Rhea versus Beth Phoenix would have been a good one too, by the way. Those two
would have
been great.
Yeah.
Anyway, Keith,
Beth Phoenix could probably still go, I bet. You know, she's not that old.
I bet she can go in a lot of ways.
Oh, hey now.
Anyway, Keith, that'll end our episode of the Shit Take. What would you like to plug?
Everybody, please listen to GFA Live with my BFF PD Winston. We were off last week as we're recording this, and it was because we had some technical issues.
Sound like you had technical issues on the one that dropped this week too.
Yeah, we're still having some technical issues. Yeah, Pete needs to get his laptop fixed, I think. But you know, so check us out. We're still marching headlong into 1990. We actually were talking as well about figuring out what we're going to do, and I think he wants to go all the way up to Mania 7. And I went, Okay.
Why not? Sure.
No, I know, but it's just cool because I keep saying, like, should we try something else? And actually, other people have recommended some other time periods, but his thing is that he doesn't want to search for stuff as much as like you search for stuff. So
that's part of the fun for me, though. I enjoy
right. But I said to him, well, I think he likes doing like stretches, like long stretches, and if there's not stuff available, for a lengthy stretch, then it's not that interesting for him. Like, he doesn't want to do 1 week of Mid-South and then 1 week of Mid-Atlantic and then do 1 week of 85 wrestling. Like, he wants to have like a good run. So I don't care. Doesn't matter.
87 is a good one because it's probably one of my favorite manias. Low key, probably one of my favorite manias to watch.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, it's mine too. So I'm not gonna tell him no. It's just funny because when we started originally doing the runs, when we started our lengthy run period, it was after Mania because we started talking about Sid, like Sid Justice. So it'll be fun. I mean, it'll be fun until we get back to where we were. But you can hear me that every week with PD on your podcatcher app under its own feed. And then did you hear Alacott came back?
I did. So, on a separate feed. I'm like, well, where the fuck is this playing at?
Well, you can find it if you look for it.
I did find it.
And then, but that's also the feed that's going to be our sister feed with the Backbone, because we're going to start. Hopefully, we'll start putting some other stuff on there. I'm going to have some other pods as well.
Yeah, Logan told me to ask you when you're doing the Aero pod. He
can whenever he wants. I mean, I have to find.
He said they were going to do it this week. He's like, is Keith going to do it this week? I said, I'll ask him for you.
I'll do it whenever he wants. I mean, the thing is that Logan and I were talking about it, and like we want to get a third man in the booth or a third person in the booth, and
you don't need a third man.
But it helps, like it helps. But if we can't find a third person, then yeah, we'll do that. And the good thing with that is like we want to try. We had a discussion like with Justin about doing stuff like kind of making it a little different than just a regular run of the mill, like what the pods have been putting out. So. Like not watching the Arrowverse and creating a pod on it and talking about it, but also doing like stuff for TikTok and YouTube and stuff like that. And so I'm like, that would be fun. So that actually might be more of an interactive with the audience than just a straight up, like we're going to watch an episode of Arrow and talk about it. So yeah, gotcha. So that's going to be coming hopefully. And then I got some other pods in the chamber. I got like I'm going to do one with I'm going to do a James Bond retrospective with my buddy Chris. That we're going to talk about the Bond movies and shit. So yeah. And then Hail to the Keith will be coming back. So there's going to be a lot of shit on my own Podbean feed that I'm going to consider the sister station to the Backbone Wrestling Network. And then of course, everything I do here on the Backbone.
Awesome. As far as me, just listen to the shift plugs that still haven't changed. I did hear that you used the old one, the newest one. I guess it was from the, trying to figure out what it was from YouTube Roulette intro.
I think it's from YouTube. Yeah, that's my one that I use.
That was pretty fucking funny. But I seriously wish Schiff would record a new one because I'm so tired of this one. We need a new one. So, but it's hard to get him to record anything. So
yeah, that's true.
Anyway, all right, Keith. Well, that's it. We will see everybody on. Oh my God, episode number 40 on the next one of this shit. 40 in. All right, see you, everybody.
I'm right and you're wrong, that's the name of this here song. This discussion's gone on way too long. I'm right and you're wrong. They say there's two sides to every scrum. My side's right and your side's dumb. That's the general rule of thumb. I'm right and you're wrong. If I'm right and you're wrong, I guess this can't be a sing-along. 'Cause you'd sing I'm right and that'd be wrong, 'cause I'm right and you're wrong. I'm right and you're wrong, that's the name of this here song. Dang, you sure are headstrong. I'm right and you're wrong. We can agree to disagree on things you're just too blind to see. Else you just agree with me, 'cause I'm right and you're wrong. Please don't cloud the issue with facts. Let's just stick to personal attacks till there ain't no turning back. 'Cause I'm right and you're wrong. I'm right and you're wrong, that's the name of this here song. Civil discourse just don't belong. I'm right and you're wrong. What's that you say? Maybe we should listen. Maybe there's things we've both been missing. Heck, we could wind up hugging and kissing if no one's right or wrong. Now this talking's gone on way too long. There ain't gonna be no brand new dawn, 'cause you're an idiot and I'm King Kong. I'm right and you're wrong. I'm right and you're wrong, that's the name of this here song. It turns out all along I was right and you were wrong. I'm right and you're wrong, that's the name of this here song. This whole thing's gone on way too long. I'm right and you're wrong. Yeah, the world ain't flat, it's just oblong. I'm right and you're wrong. And you're ugly too.